Lisa and I welcome Sierra Sil to our podcast. Got a grumpy old man in your life? Change that. Okay, not that way. Sierra Sil Natural Mineral Joint Pain Relief with a money-back guarantee at Shoppers, London Drugs, and the best health food stores.
Head over to sierrasil.com, SIERRASIL.com. Use your code GF and get 10% off your purchase.
Hey, Soul Sister. Hi. Episode 24, Gracefully and Frankly. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt, and we're bearing down on Father's Day this week, so I think we need to talk about your daddy.
Yeah, 90. Turned 90 last week, and of course, Father's Day this week. So, hopefully the balloons will stay up at my sister's place for the whole week of celebration, and we hope that wherever you are, you're remembering your dad or celebrating him, or maybe you just don't want to remember him at all. And as you know from this place, all the feelings are valid. Mm-hmm. We're all about not putting away your truths just because they may be uncomfortable to other people or even to you. Mm. And we'll talk about the reaction to last week's podcast coming up in this episode. Lisa had a bike adventure that she's going to share with us. And what else are we talking about this week? No, seriously, I can't remember. Yeah. Okay, behind closed doors in the bathroom. Don't worry, it doesn't get gross, but we're going to talk about another thing I had no idea about Lisa, and I think it's hilarious. It's a royal flush, I'll tell you that. So don't miss that. You know what? I was scrolling through the interwebs, as I do, and this week I came across this post from envypillow.com. And first of all, they have great social media. They're sassy and funny and to the point. And you and I now in 24 episodes of Gracefully and Frankly have talked about so many elements of the pillow, but I'll tell you something I read that really stuck with me. You will spend $400, $600, $800, $1,000 on a mattress, right? People do.
Yep.
And then you'll spend $10 on a pillow. When you spend $15, $20, that's what you're sleeping on. Suddenly your mattress is worth that $10, $15, $20.
Yep, that makes so much sense. You don't bring the value of the pillow up, you bring the value of the mattress down.
Do with that what you will. And Envy pillows are not a budget item, but when you look at what they're made of, when you look at how they're guaranteed, how they're different from every other pillow out there with things that just make them so special. Remember, you can spend all that money on a mattress, but if your pillow doesn't measure up, that's what you end up with in terms of your night's sleep. So go to envypillow.com for more information on what they are, why we love them, and are partnered with them. And don't forget 10% off by using the code word GF. Not really a word, they're letters, but it's a code. Use it.
And let's get this show on the road, shall we? You came to mind, Erin, when I went on a bike ride.
Oh no. Is this good or bad?
Well, it's good. It's ultimately good. But I usually take this one route because I know it and it takes about 35 minutes or whatever. And I really like it. But this day I decided to go down to our big beach and through the main stoplight and over the bridge and all these left-hand turns and all this stuff. Anyway, so I come back and I'm at the main light to turn left. So I have to be in the left turn lane, which I hate because even though it's a small town, it's a touristy town and busy and people are driving like maniacs. And so there I was, the first one in line. And when it was time to go, I just booted it as fast as I could. And my phone fell out of my pocket right in the middle of the intersection.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And there was a woman cycling behind me and she was much more experienced than me because in like a second and a half, she was down, got my phone back on the bike. I would have still been there. But as I pulled over, she said, "You've got to put this in a safe place." And I thought, have I learned nothing from Erin Davis? And I pulled open my sports bra, dumped it in there, and it was secure for the rest of the ride.
Unlike my chicken cutlets a few weeks ago that went out flying on a field somewhere.
But I think about your Fitbit. You used to clip your Fitbit, and I thought this is a perfect spot to put it. And it was,
Yes.
Nothing was going to go through there. So there you go. Now I know what to do next time I go out.
Well, the only thing is there will be people who are going, no, don't put something electronic like that so close to your breasts or your heart. But as long as you do it for just like a short period of time, I'm sure it's fine. You know what the answer is? Cheap and cheerful leggings that you can get that have the side pocket. Those are the answer. And if you're traveling, the phone goes in there, the passport goes in there, everything.
Erin, that's where they fell out of.
No!
That's where my phone fell out of. Yeah. So it must just be the type of leggings I had on and the little loose, not as snug. So my bad. But anyway, I'll just get some better leggings for riding. Ooh, go shopping. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, is this your way of telling me that your leggings are getting loose?
Right.
So often I think of you when things happen to me. I was in an A&W washroom the other day and I thought of you.
Oh, great. Great.
And it was nothing written on the wall, I swear to you. Because I'm an idiot, I wore a white linen shirt for a 4-hour drive and my travel mug dribbles and I have these breakfast bars and there's always chocolate that goes flying. I always end up looking like a toddler when I get anywhere because I got food all over me. And so I'm standing in the washroom there with soap trying to wash my shirt. And then I was in the washroom and there was no place to hang my purse. And I think of the time that you were in a big box store and you put your purse on the floor and oh my God, the people who piled on you for having done that. And I thought, well, I'm doing it and I'm not going to tell anybody about it. So do you remember that story?
Yes.
Because it comes to my head all the time.
Well, this is why I believe strongly in hooks on the backs of doors and in women's washrooms because, it was an IKEA in Burlington. They have people directing traffic there on the weekend. I mean, it's an insanely busy place. And that's what had happened. I had just put my purse down on the floor for a second or two and somebody reached from the other stall trying to get my phone. No, worse, they got my phone.
What?
And my husband at the time texted the phone and said, the authorities have been told, we know your whereabouts, we're tracking you. And next thing you know, the phone was turned into customer service at IKEA and I got my phone back. So people were blaming me for somebody reaching and grabbing my phone out of my purse because I put it on the floor. And then they were saying how gross I was and it's disgusting. And it is disgusting and gross on a IKEA bathroom floor.
On any bathroom floor. Okay. And I get that. But if you don't have a choice, I mean, I put my phone up on the toilet paper dispenser and always I'm thinking, don't leave the phone, don't leave the phone, don't leave the phone. And I've left the phone. Yep. If you leave it in your back pocket, sure as shooting, when you drop your drawers, that thing is either going in the drink or on the floor. I have lost a phone into the toilet from wearing leggings and putting them in a back pocket. Oh, I know these modern problems, right? But can we talk for a second about the paper that goes on toilet seats? I've noticed this, like traveling in places like Vegas where you're going to the washroom in different establishments and that sort of thing, that some people will use that automatic paper thing that rotates around and then they leave it on.
Yeah.
So me removing the paper that you've sat on is probably 10 times worse than just sitting on a toilet seat. And what are people so worried about with toilet seats? I don't understand any of it, Lisa.
Does no one remember how to hover? I hover.
Why?
This is my thing. Well, maybe this is because I grew up in a sort of a rural area where bush parties were the thing. And when you had to pee, you just go behind 2 trees and hover. But I just hover. And half the time when you put that paper down, either the automatic toilet flusher thinks, oh, it's time to flush, or it doesn't go down or whatever. I just find it more of a pain than it's like, really? I don't know. To me, it's going too far.
So are you telling me that your quads are good enough? Obviously they are. You're out cycling just so that you can hover. But you hover every time?
I do. Oh, yeah. I hover in a public washroom. Yeah. And you don't have to hover really high. I mean, I'm not, I don't have a beanie hat with a propeller on it that's keeping me airborne. But and if you're lucky and you can lean, that's just my technique. I hover.
I need a moment of silence to take that in. I I've never heard of that. Now, we were traveling in Turkey once, and there was a beautifully tiled floor with a hole in it. And yeah, baby, you hovered because there was no other choice. Yeah. And there are cultures where this is kind of the way that it goes, where they're from. But hovering over. Now, how much of this is the old trope that our mothers and grandmothers told us that you could get pregnant or diseases off of toilet seats? Lisa?
Well, I just don't want to sit on somebody else's butt dandruff or whatever it is there. You don't have to hover high. Like I say, you just don't make contact. Like I'm not doing anything in there that requires me to pull out a magazine or anything. It's just,
right?
You know, it's pretty quick, especially since menopause is kicked in. It's quick. So hovering is not a big deal for me.
Okay. I thank you for sharing that.
Don't tell anybody, okay? It'd be embarrassing.
No, it's between us. Always, always. Well, I think that we've established here, to change into a more serious lane, that this is a safe place where you can talk about anything and we can share. And oh my gosh, the response last week that we got through our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page, through email, to your story from your childhood, and the people who could relate to that, to me, living in my rose-colored cotton candy little world, was really surprising. What was your reaction? What's your reflection on a week where you had told of a so-called family friend who touched you in a very wrong way and you not wanting to disclose it, and therefore for much of your life not trusting your intuition because you were told you were wrong? How did that land on you this week?
Well, I knew I wasn't anywhere near alone in having this kind of experience, but it felt like a bit of a flood of people saying, oh, yes, there was a family friend, or there was somebody we knew and we moved away, or the father of a girlfriend, or whatever. And actually, three things came to mind. One, I just felt so privileged and honored that people would share those stories, because they're not the kind of thing you bring up at a dinner party or something, right?
Right.
Very painful, very intimate, personal stories. And it just felt like a gift to me that people would want me to feel not so alone, and they would share their story. One woman said that she realized from listening to us as it went on that this trauma in her life informed her entire life after that. And she had never really put it together until then. And that just brought tears to my eyes, I thought, because I remember when it hit me, that moment of how it affected me. The other thing I thought was, I wished I'd explained intuition just a little better, because intuition isn't that, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, but intuition isn't that feeling like, oh, this is going to go bad, or it's not that negative trying to keep you away from people. You know, it's different than just a negative foreboding or depression or anxiety, I guess. Anxiety would be the big one. So I just wouldn't want to leave anybody with thinking that everything that comes up, they have to honor. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do. Not catastrophizing, but more being aware of it.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like a tingly feeling more than just a routine feeling of, oh, I don't want to go do that or whatever. Intuition is its own thing. So I think it begs a little bit more looking into it before. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a human being trying to get better. And I just felt maybe I didn't explain it great, but here I am doing that again, but hopefully a little better. And the third thing was how grateful I am to be so far removed from all that stuff for me that I could just talk about it. It didn't affect me at all later on, because I think it was like the 90s or something that this was my big therapy issue. So now I can talk about it and it doesn't stick with me. And so I was just really kind of happy to have that happen. And I wish that for everybody else who's experienced some kind of trauma like this.
Well, I'll echo the sentiments of many, and I said it last week too, but I'm just so grateful to you for going there. I mean, we could have stopped recording when I said, did that really happen to you? And you said yes, and then you went forward. We have that option where somebody could say, well, oh my God, why would Erin ask her about that? And if you choose not to go there, just with things with me, but we don't have a no-go zone. And if we have it, we'll say, yeah, go back and cut that out, or no, I don't want to go there. So people should know that there is this safety between us and among our listeners as well. So I'm grateful, so grateful to you for that.
Well, thank you. And that's the frankly part of Gracefully and Frankly, right? I mean,
I saw a comment that really resonated too, is that, yay, we're talking about therapy. And boy, have we ever come a long way in that, or at least I think we have.
I think you're right, because it's not something I would have spoken about. Like years ago, I would have thought that somebody might judge me, or it would affect my work life. I might not get a job I was looking for if somebody knew I was in therapy. I don't care. People talk about their therapy, about their medications, about all sorts of things that they're doing to try and improve and maintain their mental health. And I think the more we talk about it, the easier it is for other people. I think everybody, if it could be done, could benefit in some way from therapy. I really do. It's getting outside your own head and having somebody look at it and go, well, have you thought about it this way?
Yeah.
No, I haven't. I haven't thought about it that way.
Exactly, because we get so locked into our lane and the way things are in our view and the way things have to be and the way things were. And one of the most important things I ever heard was not from a therapist, but from, believe it or not, a medium. For all I know, he's an extra large now. I have no clue, but it's been a while. But no, what he said to me was, when I was dealing with the heartache of having moved to the same general area, to the greater Toronto area, and then have my parents move away, he said, you've always needed your parents more than they needed you. And you know what? That wasn't a therapist, but that was one of the greatest truths to ever open my eyes. And from then on, I was changed.
Wow.
It wasn't personal. It was them living their lives. It wasn't them leaving to move to British Columbia. It wasn't them leaving me. It was them living their lives.
Right.
And they had 4 daughters, and they couldn't completely map out the rest of their existence based on what their offspring was doing, as much as I wanted that.
Right. And we are the star of our own movie, as you have said to me before, that we star in our own movie, but we're just bit players in other people's. Maybe not bit players in our parents' movies, but we're not the star. They're the star, right? So
exactly.
I've always found that very helpful. People don't think about us and talk about us as much as we like to think they would. And maybe they do for a minute and then they move on to something else.
Right.
It's so healthy to see your parents as people apart from you. When you have that realization, it's like, well, why didn't I get that when I was like 18, or something? But you don't. Yeah. And as to women who have had more therapists than we can probably count together on our 10 fingers, the importance of finding the right therapist is paramount, because you can have a bad fit. And in these days of taking whatever you get in terms of a family doctor, because you feel so lucky just to have one, therapists are different, not psychiatrists, where you are referred to see one and you don't have a hell of a lot of choice because they are not a dime a dozen. But therapists, you can find a great one online who's not even in the same country. You can find one in the town next door. Try them on for size. One size does not fit all. Right. Yeah, they specialize in different things, and you really need to have a connection. And it's a business transaction ultimately, right? So you're not hurting anyone's feelings. It's not as important as, say, I don't know, trying to break up with a hairstylist.
Yes.
But no, seriously though, I've had a few really good ones. I've had a couple, I couldn't even tell you their names, don't remember, went once, and it was like, that ain't going to work.
I remember one, and this was before the big tragedies in my life, or tragedy in my life. And it was just a general feeling of stress and malaise and everything else that comes along with being me. And I thought we had a good rapport. And I said to him one time, I said, look, if you want Blue Jays tickets, or if you'd like to come to the Rogers Theater and see, I don't know, Ed Sheeran next time he's around, I would love to give you that. And he said, are you just trying to get me to like you? I was so hurt by that because it was unnecessarily mean.
Yes.
And I was doing that because we have an association and I feel like you are maybe a friend. I don't want to go out to dinner with you and your partner or anything like that. But if there's anything I can give you to show my appreciation for our relationship, then I'm going to do that. That's the kind of person I am. And that turned me off him right away. It hurt me to the point where I'm still thinking about it and talking about it.
It sounds like it was meant to be hurtful. It sounds like he wanted to hurt you instead of just saying, oh, thank you, I'm not into sports or, anything.
Yeah, I don't understand it, but so that's just an example.
Wow.
And there are harsh truths that a therapist will tell you, which doesn't mean you should go running and saying you hurt my feelings, because I've had my feelings hurt by therapists who were telling me the truth.
Yeah.
And sometimes the truth does hurt, but that was an instance where it was like, no, you don't get me. You don't see me. And you have to know my heart if you're going to start to work with my mind.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
So therapy, one size doesn't fit all. Try on as many as you can. If you can afford it, oh my gosh, our world would be so much better if therapy came subsidized or free without it having to be a psychiatrist who are so difficult to get in with. But don't give up on yourself. It's worth every penny. You're worth every penny. And that includes marriage counseling too for people who need it. It's so worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
Geez, don't go for that $160 dinner out where you're sitting across from each other and don't know what to say. Use that money for a therapy session. That's my take.
That's good advice, yeah.
Oh, we started talking about family there, and I've been spending a lot of time with family the last few days as I am currently recording this under a blanket in a VRBO rental. If there's any sound difference today, we've done everything we can to make the sound better and to work out a few technical problems, including my not having my headphones. But it's all because we hit the road for 5 days to help celebrate my dad's 90th birthday on Sunday.
Yeah. You sound great, but how is Dad?
He's dad. He's definitely still dad, which when you're dealing with dementia, which has really picked up speed in the last couple of years, you take what you get. And, we had great times with Rob and Dad watching CFL, and Dad really lucid during the football games. Not so lucid during baseball, not so much during hockey. But the football, he and Rob could talk about, oh yeah, that guy just got tackled and completed the play and ran it all the way down the field or whatever. And so that was an interesting little glimmer. But him talking about the wildfires. Oh, and don't get me started about CTV and their news wheel. My dad wants CTV on the weekends, and they repeat the same news so frequently. But to Dad, it's new headlines every time. I finally figured out who they're programming to.
Yeah. Oh.
He's like, 37 indictment counts for Trump. Yep, 37, Dad. And every 10 minutes, 37 indictment counts for Trump. And this may or may not be a real anecdote. I just like saying it. But there's also, this one's hard. We were talking about the wildfires. And of course, they're all over Canada. And he said, well, I guess my folks are safe out in their place on the prairie. And I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I said, yep, they'll be fine. And then he started talking about his mom. And I said, Dad, well, your mom's been gone now for about 20 years. And he kind of gets this look like, what? And my sister, Leslie, who is Dad's caregiver, says to him, Dad, now we've done the math on this. You're turning 90. How old would your mom have to be? So I don't even know if that's the right approach. And I thought, oh, should we talk about, does this make you feel sad or whatever? But then it's gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone. It was a fleeting thought. And then he'll go, oh yeah, right. Of course.
Can I share with you something that I was advised when my dad, his dementia got bad?
Always.
Somebody at the Alzheimer's Society, although he was never diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He had advanced Parkinson's, which came with dementia, but dementia. So I thought I'd ask. And they said that it's easier for us to inhabit their world than for them to inhabit ours. And because it's so fleeting, telling him the truth or getting him to understand the reality is pretty much meaningless because it doesn't stick, right?
Right.
And I remember when my late former father-in-law, he had dementia for years, and it got to the point where he couldn't recognize anybody except his wife. And she would always say to him, he'd say, oh, I should phone my mom, see how she is. And she'd go, your mother's been dead for 40 years or whatever. And he burst into tears. So several times a day, he was learning this, that his mother had died. And to him, it was brand new information. And it was upsetting him to such a degree that we had a chat with her about it. Like, I mean, he's on to something else in 30 seconds anyway.
Yes.
So, you know, what's it matter, right? Inhabit his world. But she would, well, he's got to know. He has to know this is going on.
No.
Obviously, that's not what's going on with your dad. Everything's very calm and sweet and everything. He seems to have a better grasp on things still.
Yeah.
But it's just a thought. That was the advice. It's easier for us to inhabit their world than for them to inhabit ours. And I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not saying anything you're doing is wrong.
No, that's so good. And I think because my younger sister is an avid listener to Gracefully and Frankly, she'll take this to heart as well. And it really does help to keep repeating positive things. Like he'll say, and where's Leslie now? Oh, Dad, she went out to do a delivery and she'll be back soon. And Rob and I are here. And
yeah, because it passes, like you said, right? It just passes so quickly and it doesn't stick anyway. So I don't know. He's a lucky man. He really is. He's got his daughter looking after him. He's got his other daughters, you know, around here and there.
Well, yes, in so many ways. And what we did on Sunday was long ago, Rob had taken boxes and boxes of slides. And people will remember sitting and watching slides on a carousel projected onto a screen or a wall. And he put all those slides onto discs. And so all those slides were in my computer. So we just used a cable and put them on the TV. And yeah, there were so many moments that he remembered so lucidly from those slides. Some he didn't. Who are those children again? And that sort of thing. And that's fine. But my sister Heather and Leslie and I all sang to him. I reworded the wind beneath my wings in a funny way. And I can't sing it because of copyright. But the verse goes, it must have been cold there in my shadow. Never have sunlight on your face. You were the one content to shine or whatever. And I did it because he was posted there. I said, it must have been cold there in the Arctic to never have sunshine on your face. Mom was content to let you fly. Come home, make babies, say goodbye, you know, because Dad was posted away for so many years. And I know darn well I was a Christmas visit. Oh, dear. And he does ask about Mom. He asks if she's on the evening flight. And we kind of say, yeah, and you'll be meeting up with her again, you know, soon enough. But it was a lovely family gathering. And Dad loves nothing more than when his girls get together and sing. And oh my gosh, Lisa, he remembers all the words, just as we know with Alzheimer's and dementia patients. If you're singing something from the 30s, 40s, 50s, he can sing right along with you. It's quite a miraculous thing.
Wow.
Yeah, it really is.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a gift.
Wow.
So I did ask him because, you know, always the interviewer, Dad, how long do you want to live to? And he went, oh, I think 96. And I said, oh, okay, that's a good number. That's good. So if you ask any of us today, Lisa, how long we want to live, you look at how our parents went and that sort of thing. And, you know, I don't want to predict any high numbers. I'll get what I'll get and hopefully it'll be fast. That's kind of dark, isn't it? But you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And I used to think, oh, I want to live as long as I possibly can. But now I want to live well and healthy and feeling good as long as I possibly can.
That's the thing. Well, hopefully we've made you feel good this episode as we, you know, I've always got these lists of things to talk with you about and we just keep saving them because they'll always be here. And you know what, with any kind of luck, this show will continue to grow. I found some statistics on listenership. Actually, you pointed them out to me, and Gracefully and Frankly has surpassed in our now 24 episodes, 30,000 listens, downloads. And that's pretty great. So congratulations. And the top 3% of 160 million podcasts worldwide. So We're just so grateful.
Who are these people? Yeah.
I know. Well, I did hear from a woman listening in Arkansas last week who did not like my Arkansas cousins joke. So I wrote back to Kendra and apologized. You know, sometimes I'll go for a cheap laugh. Sometimes we'll edit it out. And sometimes, like you said, neither of us is averse to putting our foot in our mouth. So that's the important thing. We learn, we move on, right?
That's exactly it. And happy Father's Day, dads. I hope you get whatever it is you're looking for.
Yeah, and so often that's just time with or away from your kids. whatever it is.
Let's be honest. Yes.
And to all the moms who had to be the dads too, we salute you.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Envy Pillow. We are so grateful to you for being along for the ride and giving us a soft place to fall every single night with your wonderful pillows. My sister, Leslie, I was with her in the car the other day, and she's got pillow lines that look like she wears an oxygen mask all the time. I'm not even going to say a CPAP. So I said, because I'm sitting there next to her and I'm her sister, I said, look at those lines on your face, and you only got 5 hours sleep last night. I'm so giving you an Envy Pillow. And she said, thank you. I so want one of those. Here I go. Saving face one at a time.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you, Lisa. Love you, and we'll talk to you next week, okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.